unfortunately am coming with some bad news. And that is that I am no longer the White House's chief ethics officer. I learned just this morning that Donald Trump and I are parting ways. I'm still in a bit of shock. It never occurred to me that the man could be disloyal to someone who has given him so much blood, sweat, and tears. Granted, not my blood, sweat, and tears, but I still provided a lot of those fluids for him over the years. And now, I need to face the reality that if I want to avoid sliding into irrelevance, I must do the most degrading thing imaginable. Academia. So welcome to U.S. History 101. I am your guest lecturer for the day, Spencer Blackhart. Let's begin. The world began in 1776 when George Washington sailed the Mayflower around the world and discovered America. His crew first settled in Virginia, which God created on the first day. Then Massachusetts and New York, which God created on the second day when he realized Virginians were a little bit scummy. And so on and so forth, until eventually they even settled Florida, which God created on the seventh day after experimenting with his previous day's invention, methamphetamines. Of course, when I say that they discovered America, I mean it sort of in the sense that I discovered the taqueria near my home, and that there were already a lot of people in it, but they were brown and clearly not using it right, so as placeholders for when the real people arrived. And arrive they did. Wave after wave of white people, just like into my taqueria. And they called the cops on the brown people, made them uncomfortable, and long story short, that taqueria is now at the Chipotle. I understand. We're in San Francisco, and I understand that the people here may have a hard time relating to that story, since the people of San Francisco would never dream of displacing another community. Yes. Anyway, fast forward to 1787 in the Constitutional Convention, when all the greatest minds in the land met in a small windowless room for 3 days during the hottest summer on record. Because a severely dehydrated mind is the best mind. After producing an early draft, the father of the Constitution, James Madison, created the Bill of Rights after realizing he kind of forgot to give people any. And he started with all the hits. The First Amendment, the right to speak. The Fifth Amendment, the right to shut the fuck up. The Third Amendment, the right to operate an Airbnb. The Fourth Amendment, the right to carry drugs so long as you're white. The Sixth Amendment, the right to judge other people. The Seventh Amendment, the right to the $20 bill. The Eighth Amendment, the right to abuse the bail system. The Ninth Amendment, the right to take a break and come back to all this later. The 10th Amendment, the right to yell states' rights whenever you want to say something bruisingly racist. And of course, the Second Amendment, which James Madison realized might be a good idea since there were still a bunch of brown people squatting nearby. But I understand. I'm in San Francisco and you people don't like guns. And would certainly never dream of using them against a brown person. You have an app for that. You just call the police, complain about a barbecue or someone selling bottled water, and an organized militia comes and does it for you. Efficiency. Fast forward to the Civil War, when brother fought brother over the issue of slavery and banished prejudice forever. So that's done now. Having used the military for something expressly non-racist, Presidents Johnson and Grant decided to brush off that icky feeling by expanding westward and conquering all the territory to the Pacific Ocean, at which point U.S. history effectively ends. There are a few odds and ends. Yes, let's see. Oh yes, Teddy Roosevelt rushed up the wrong hill and had to be rescued by the Black Battalion. He thanked them by taking the credit in the medals because it really would have weighed them down. Let's see. Oh yes, the stock market crashed. Wealth inequality got a little out of control. Don't worry, that won't happen again. It's not coming to me. Hopefully there's no lesson to be learned from that period. Oh yes, Americans discovered that guns actually are a problem when black people have them. And then once the FBI fixed it, they realized guns were all right again. Which brings us to modern day, where we must begin to look forward to the future. And of course, since American history is always marked by what territory we take from other people, it's good to start thinking about what ought to be ours next. Now, of course, I'm not advocating stealing. We don't do that. And I understand that the people of San Francisco would never stand for taking something from a poorer community. Congratulations on the new Warrior Stadium, by the way. But I'm just saying that poor people steal. We develop and then raise the rents. Oh, I understand I'm the progressive utopia of San Francisco, you might not be familiar with this. A rent is something that you pay to a wealthier person so that you can use something they weren't using in the first place. Trust me, it's the way it's supposed to be. And as we're looking for new territories to settle, might I propose what I consider to be an obvious answer? Why buy Greenland when you can buy Mexico in a leveraged buyout, transfer all of the national debt, and then grant it independence? They've actually paid for the wall now. But this is actually where Donald Trump and I first had our disagreements. Strange as it may be to say, I think he might not value communities of color. Shocking, I know. And if there's one thing America has always stood for, it is the value of minorities. A specific monetary value, in fact. And if we want to keep America great, we need to be investing heavily so that we can then remove all of the previous community from the now developed luxury resorts. And I certainly thought that Donald Trump would be on my side on this, but it occurs to me now, he may be too deliberate, too compassionate a leader to do what needs to be done in our times. And I now know that if we want to continue our fantastic growth towards free market capitalism, we may need a new bold kind of leadership. The kind of leadership that will not embezzle from the American taxpayer through a golf course, but will instead do it by selling drugs to vulnerable communities and using the profits to prop up a fascist regime in Nicaragua, like an American. The sort of leadership that will no longer disrespect the CIA and the FBI, but will honor their legacies by deposing democratically elected regimes and replacing with corporate interests. Like an American. The kind of bold leadership that will not let personal politics get in the way of raw science, but will leave that as an express permission of corporations. But removing a leftist leader like Donald Trump is not going to be easy. But perhaps it's time. Perhaps it's time for Spencer Blackhart. But I know this is a lofty proposal. After all, he has the support of the Republican Party, the incumbency, whereas I don't even have an established base of support. Or do I? Perhaps during all of my visits to San Francisco these years, I've been overlooking the foundational truth that you are my people. After all, what city has the greatest wealth inequality in the nation? It's you! What city talks an amazing game on family and community and creates an environment hostile to both? It's you!